seeing?
Yeah, Wolf, you're right. It is scary to think about if they're going to start torching buildings here, considering that we're holed up, basically barricaded in a building less than a mile from where Fred is talking to you from. We're about south of him on the opposite side of the Egyptian Museum, around which this battle has raged throughout the day. I'm looking at the south side of the Egyptian Museum right now, and I can see the smoke rising from that growing fire over there. And we did see earlier in the afternoon, as the sun was setting, for the first time, the pro-regime combatants hurling those petrol bombs. And it wasn't until sometime afterwards, perhaps an hour or two later, that I saw the opposition start to throw their own Molotov cocktails. Now, I'll tell you, where I'm located right now is in Tahrir Square, the scene of what have been days of anti-government peaceful demonstrations until today, until this battle erupted. It has really been an incredible piece of human drama that has unfolded beneath us, with a constant stream of wounded people being brought from these front lines between these two warring camps, people being treated on the sidewalks, underneath the street lamps, now that night has fallen, by medics in lab coats. We've seen teams of opposition protesters who have been hard at work digging up the asphalt here in Tahrir Square to pull out stones to use as ammunition in the ongoing battles that have gone throughout the day. We've seen women working both digging up the stones and also treating some of the wounded people who have come out, and I estimate hundreds, because there has been a constant stream, Wolf, of ambulances pouring in from the south end of the square, from the direction of the U.S. Embassy, that have been taking away some of the more heavily wounded cases and casualties that we've seen throughout this incredibly violent and bloody street battle.
And we keep seeing more and more Molotov cocktails thrown in. There you see one. And the flames, obviously someone has made a conscientious decision to try to burn this building down. As you say, Ivan, for days the demonstrators, thousands, hundreds of thousands of them, it was very peaceful. But today, all of a sudden, it took a dramatic shift when pro-government, pro-Mubarak people were brought in, and as you can see, with some weapons and some Molotov cocktails, and all of a sudden it became very violent. The question is, who made that decision to allow the violence to erupt today? This was not an accident that there was violence today, Ivan.
I'm not really sure. I mean, Wolf, we were standing in the same place at this time Tuesday night after the so-called Million Man March, when this square was flooded with peaceful protesters calling for the downfall of Hosni Mubarak after nearly 30 years in power. Many of these people were calling this a revolution. I think Wednesday we saw the beginning of a counter-revolution, with the streets filled with very hostile, very aggressive, not all of them, but many of them, very aggressive supporters of Hosni Mubarak, people who targeted journalists. They were angry. It was clear that many of them were spoiling for a fight, and they chased us, our crew, through the streets where we had to run for cover here in Tahrir Square, and ran smack dab into this street battle as it was just beginning to erupt. Very tense moments there as we ran for cover, and then eventually managed to squeeze into this building where we have taken shelter ever since then with a number of other foreign journalists.
Are you feeling fairly, Ivan, are you feeling, you and your colleagues, fairly secure in that building where you are right now? Because we know you were endangered earlier in the day by pro-Mubarak demonstrators, and Anderson Cooper was attacked. Hala Garani and her team were attacked. Are you feeling fairly secure right now, or how insecure is the situation?
I think the uncertainty is on what will come next, and the sad irony is that the government turned on the internet again Wednesday after shutting it down for days. And now the Egyptian Twitter sphere and social networking and text messaging on phones is spreading rumors and fears that another assault on Tahrir Square will come on Thursday. And if a building is already burning here, I don't even want to think about what could ensue if that in fact was to take place here. What we are seeing on this side of the barricades, and I'm in opposition-controlled territory, about a square mile of it in the heart of the city, is that the opposition have been barricading themselves. They've been preparing for what seems like a siege, preparing for more fighting, even though some of the people are now sleeping in the grass here in the square, warming themselves around campfires. Many of the men I'm seeing walking around are walking wounded. They have bandages on their head, Wolf. They have slings on their arms. But they have also been saying that they will not leave without a fight. Some saying they will die here. And there's been a man speaking on a loudspeaker at one end of the square saying, we refuse to negotiate with the Mubarak government. We refuse to deal with people who have business with the Israelis, calling anybody who does that a traitor. That's just to give you a sense of the atmosphere here inside Tahrir Square behind the barricades.
And those